Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Arizona.
D-backs in Los Angeles hoping for a Hollywood ending to their season series against the West-leading Dodgers. Final two meetings of the year this weekend. D-backs fans here with us tonight, looking at Chase Anderson to continue his successful rookie season against left-hander Hyunjin Ryu. A close ball game last night. We are set for baseball here again tonight at Chavez Ravine. It's the D-backs and the Dodgers on Fox Sports Arizona. Greetings from Dodger Stadium. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brunley along the way. The Diamondbacks tonight up against left-hander Hyunjin Ryu. That means the right-hand bats in the Arizona lineup, Bob, will be key, especially Mark Trumbo, who's got a 6-game hitting streak. He's reached base safely in 15 straight games.
You know, it's not the Mark Trumbo we expected when we made the trade. Part of it is by design. Part of it is out of necessity. He wanted to be a more consistent hitter. He wanted to make more consistent contact, strike out less. And out of necessity, they're pitching him away. So a lot of his base hits have come up the middle of the field into the opposite field. Since August 1st, he's drawing a lot more walks. He's striking out less. His on-base percentage is .380. Maybe not the Mark Trumbo we expected to see when the trade happened, but a much better hitter than I think anybody expected.
Well, they will definitely be looking for some offense against Hyunjin Ryu, who so far this year has dominated the Diamondbacks. 2 starts, he's 2-0. He's given up only 4 hits in 12 innings of work.
Has yet to give up an earned run against the Diamondbacks here. The first start was in Sydney, Australia, the opener of the season. The next one came at Chase Field. None of his pitches register off the charts, but his execution is outstanding. He rarely makes mistakes in the middle of the plate.
So it's Hyunjin Ryu for the Dodgers, Chase Anderson for the D-backs, and we are set for first pitch here at Chavez Ravine. When we come back, putting the D in Didi in defense, we'll talk to Alan Trammell about what we've seen lately from the D-backs shortstop. You're watching Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jack in the Box. If the D-backs hit a home run today, score a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow with a purchase of a large drink.
We are back at Dodger Stadium. Game 6 of the Arizona Diamondbacks 10-game West Coast road trip lives on tonight. Didi Gregorius has been absolutely sensational as of late, not only flashing the leather, but a rifle of an arm as well. We talked to their infield coach, a guy who knows a thing or two about playing shortstop, the 4-time Gold Glove winner, Alan Trammell.
He's been a highlight reel in himself here of late, and really, all year he's played well. But I think now some of the plays that obviously get around the country that everybody gets to see, and there was none better than last night. And what a lot of people don't really realize is the difficulty as far as the ball was down closer to the ground, and the farther you have to bend over, and then going the opposite direction and throw a laser back the other direction is not easy. And I'm amazed. I've been around quite a while. I've seen a lot of great plays, but that's one of the best plays I've ever seen.
And if you can impress a guy like Alan Trammell, you're doing something very, very well. Didi has certainly done that, and you get the feeling we're just starting to see his potential. Stay with us here on Fox Sports Arizona. First pitch headed your way in just a little bit as Chase Sanderson chases yet another win, hoping to rack up his 9th of the year against Hyunjin Ryu. Bob Brenly, Steve Berthew, you have the call live on Fox Sports Arizona after a quick timeout.
Fox Sports Arizona, glad you're with us on this Saturday. Steve Berthew, Bob Brenly, Brad Stockey with you. Diamondbacks up against the Dodgers here, and your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for LA is the 27-year-old left-hander, Hyunjin Ryu. Now tonight the Diamondbacks have loaded up with right-hand bats against Ryu, the lefty. That includes Nolan Reimold, who's in left field tonight.
Well, he's one of the few guys that I did face before, so I watched him a little bit on video. He's got good off speed, throws a lot of strikes, so just got to stay patient and capitalize on the one pitch that he might give you to hit.
Hyunjin Ryu, the whip, walks and hits per innings pitch, puts him just outside the top 10 in the National League. He is tough. He's walked only 27 batters in 24 starts this year. And tonight he'll go for his 15th win, which, Bob, would be one more than he had last year as a rookie.
Yeah, we heard Nolan Reimold talking about his off-speed deliveries. He'll throw his fastball approximately half the time. He'll mix in off-speed pitches, a curveball, a slider, and a changeup. really has good command of his secondary pitches. There you see the arsenal for Ryu. And as I mentioned before, he just rarely makes mistakes in the middle of the plate, and you have to be ready to hit him if he does happen to come over the fat part of the dish.
He beat the D-backs only once in 5 starts last year after coming over from the Korean Professional League, but this year he has started twice against the Diamondbacks and given up a total of just 4 hits in 12 scoreless innings. And he throws strike 1 to Ender Inciarte. We are underway in Los Angeles. Pat Hoberg is our plate umpire tonight. Inciarte 266 on the year. And he shoots that one the other way. A base hit for Inciarte into left. And the leadoff man's aboard against Ryu. Take a look at Kirk Gibson's lineup. All those right-hand bats in there, Bob.
Yeah, the left-hander and a switch hitter at the top, and Inciarte and Pennington, and a string of right-handers. Chris Owings, Mark Trumbo, Aaron Hill, Cody Ross, Nolan Reimold, Tuffy Gosowich getting a start behind the dish, and right-handed pitcher Chase Anderson on the mound.
Yeah, Ender Inciarte started in center tonight against the left-hander Ryu. Kirk Gibson says A.J. Pollock is not running at full speed right now. He's been dealing with a slight groin injury. And so Inciarte is in there, and on the run on that pitch that Pennington fouls off. Cliff getting the start at shortstop tonight. Didi Gregorius sits this one out. Pennington 252, couple of home runs. What a play by Didi last night. And he's had a whole bunch of highlight reel plays lately. Here are the Dodgers now behind their left-hander. It's our mid-first bank starting defense.
A little different look for Don Mattingly tonight. He'll have Carl Crawford in left field. Jock Peterson in his 3rd major league start out in center field. Matt Kemp again in right. Juan Uribe, Hanley Ramirez on the left side of the infield. D. Gordon back in the lineup tonight at second base. Adrian Gonzalez at first. A.J. Ellis doing the catching for Hyung Jin Ryu.
Keep a close eye on Inciarte. Jock Peterson, the center fielder, the guy they consider to be the best center fielder in their organization right now. The MVP of the Coast League this year in Albuquerque, as Yasiel Puig gets what is apparently a much needed mental health day. He has really slumped. They say stomach issues for Yasiel Puig, but I think people have been getting a little queasy watching him hit the last month.
No kidding. And just judging from his body language in that ball game last night and some of the games I've seen leading up to this series, he just doesn't appear to be the guy he was last year. You know, that youthful enthusiasm, that energy that he brought to the team every day, just hasn't been there consistently at the end of the season.
Pennington lifts this up along the right field line, and it's in the seats out of play. And Puig was hitless last night. And he has really slumped. If you go back to August 3rd, he was hitting .323 for the year. But since that point, he's hit under .190. The batting average has dropped almost 30 points in less than 30 games. And he's looked much like the guy who faded down the stretch last year. He had a difficult September and a tough postseason.
2 home runs since May 28th.
Ryu strikes out Pennington. 1 down.
Batting in, second baseman number 16, Chris Owings.
Brings up Chris Owings. No David Peralta tonight. Kirk Gibson told me he would have preferred to have Peralta in there even against the left-hander, but David has had a little bit of a back issue lately, so he's getting the night off. And Chris Owings is playing second base and batting third. So Pollock and Peralta a little dinged up. Nothing they think is too serious. Chris Owings 0 for 3 with a walk last night. He will keep Inciarte close, 14 for 17 in his stolen base attempts this year.
Well, the Giants beat the Detroit Tigers earlier this afternoon. Tommy Lasorda pulling out all the stops, calling for a little divine intervention here to keep the Dodgers ahead of the Giants in that National League West race.
Madison Bumgarner won his 17th. He beat David Price. Giants won despite a pair of Miguel Cabrera home runs. So the Dodgers lead atop the division. Only a game and a half as we start this one. Well, yeah. Tommy has connections, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, yeah. He can go right over their heads if necessary.
Right to the top.
As he calls it, that great Dodger in the sky. Up for argument, but whatever makes you happy, Tommy. Yeah, I don't know about you, partner, but that Tiger-Giants game today, you got David Price against Madison Bumgarner. I thought that'd be a dueling shutout, maybe into extra innings, and I switched on the TV, and it was 4-2 in the bottom of the first.
A lot of home runs in that ball game. Wow. Martinez hit 1, Cabrera hit 2. But the Giants behind Bumgarner win at 5-4. So a game and a half for the Dodgers here. And they are trying to hang on. Buster Posey had a big one in that game. Giants might be ready to make a run here. Looked like maybe some month or so ago you might write them off, but they're kind of coming back here. And the Dodgers have come back to them a little bit. They have some guys that are struggling right now. Puig is out. Gordon slumping. So is Ramirez. 2-2 to Owings. CO 4 games back now since he went out on June 25th with that bone bruise in his left shoulder that kept him out all of July and August. Speaking of the Giants, he said, told me yesterday, it was definitely that play at home plate in that game against San Francisco June 20th on which he injured that shoulder. Deep 3-inch bone bruise, he said. Ryu is run at full, 3-2. Ciarte aboard at first after a leadoff single. There goes Ciarte. Owings swings and hits it out to Kemp in right field, and Ender's going to have to hustle back there. And they double him off. That's the end of the inning. And Ciarte running on the pitch was hung out to dry. Matt Kemp out there in right field, a running catch, and the momentum takes him directly to the bag, and Ciarte is an easy out. We are underway at Dodger Stadium.
One out and a full count on Chris Owings, and the reason you start a runner there is to try to stay out of the double play. Ryu throws a lot of ground balls. This time a little floater out into shallow right field. By the time Ender Ciarte realizes Kemp's going to make the play, doesn't have enough time to get back to the bag. You run to try to stay out of a double play, and you run into a double play.
It's a funny game. Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, 26-year-old rookie right-hander Chase Anderson, pitching in September For the first time in his career, a winner his last time out. He beat the Rockies at Chase Field on Sunday and pitched very well. The command was better. The fastball velocity was up too. Numbers from that start against Colorado on Sunday.
And the really important number for Chase Anderson is always pitches. 86 pitches through 6 innings. That's a huge improvement for Chase. That pitch count can climb up there rather rapidly if he's not hitting the zone.
D. Gordon back in the lineup, and he takes strike one. D. Gordon 284 on the year, couple of home runs, leading the major leagues in triples and stolen bases. Keep him off the bases. And Gordon, an all-star this year for the first time in his career, a second baseman for the first time as well. And it looks like he's begun to run out of juice here. Down the stretch, having crossed the 130 games played point. Never having played, in fact, more than 90 games in a season in his big league career. He's in there against Chase Anderson, who is working in September for the first time ever. Here's his pitching coach, Mike Harkey.
This is his first time pitching in September, so it's kind of like uncharted territory for him. He's kind of feeling his way through it, and hopefully he just continues to attack the zone. That's our, the biggest thing, or biggest message I have for him is to continue to attack the zone. With the hitters that the Dodgers have, they are so good at working the count and getting their pitch to hit.
That's an important point, too, pitching in September. Normally in the minor leagues, unless you're involved in the playoffs, you're home by now. Your season has come to an end. You put your gloves away, you put your cleats away, you watch Major League Baseball for the last month of the season and get ready for next spring. But for the first time in his career, Chase Anderson pitching here into the month of September.
And the number here with Chase is the innings. 98 with the Diamondbacks, plus 39 at AA Mobile to begin this season. So subtract that total from the 88 innings Chase threw at Reno last year. And he begins this start having thrown 49 more innings than he did last season. That's a big chunk.
He did throw 137 and 2/3 back in 2012 in AA, but yeah, from one season to the next, that's a pretty considerable jump.
And last year with the AAA Reno Aces, he split time between the rotation and the bullpen, which is why that 88 innings number is a little low. But all this year as a starter. And D. Gordon is making him work here. It's 2-2. But the last start for Chase, very encouraging. Only 1 run on 5 hits in 6. Beat the Rockies, did not walk a batter, had 8 strikeouts after struggling in his 2 previous starts, both losses. And that had raised some concerns about the innings total for the season and the possible fatigue factor. That is a fair ball down the right field line, and Gordon can fly. Cody Ross plays it off the carom, and D. Gordon is in there with his 19th double.
Right down the first baseline past a diving Mark Trumbo, just fair, right over the bag and then into foul territory. First base umpire Scott Berry right on top of the call, and D. Gordon already in scoring position after 1 batter.
And Hanley Ramirez is the hitter. A pair of hits last night that snapped an 0 for 19 skid for Ramirez. He's hitting .265 on the year with 13 home runs. An 8-pitch at bat to Gordon ends up with a man on second. There's strike 1 to Ramirez, who is hitting below 160 over the 10 games since he's been back from the DL. He had a right oblique strain that kept him out for 14 games. This is one of the bats that they are hoping will wake up here in September. Play on at second. Gordon is back in time.
Timing was off there. Chase should have been spinning as Chris Owens started his break for second base. If you wait until the middle infielder gets to the base to make your move to second, you're not going to pick off very many guys, especially a speedster like Gordon.
There's Cliff Pennington sneaking in right behind the runner there. 1-1 to Ramirez. And the Ramirez since June 1st has hit only 4 home runs. And it seems everything has gone wrong with him physically at one point over the course of the year. Just off the DL. Pops this one up into that light sky. Mark Trumbo is camped out underneath it. And that's the first out. The lineup for Don Mattingly's Los Angeles Dodgers tonight.
G. Gordon at the top already. Hanley Ramirez just popped out the first. Adrian Gonzalez playing first base. Matt Kemp red hot over his last 12 ball games. Carl Crawford in there in left field tonight. Juan Uribe at third base. Jock Peterson, the young phenom, out in center field. A.J. Ellis doing the catching for the lefty Hyunjin Ryu.
There is Matt Kemp, an 11-game hitting streak. He's got 3 homers during that streak, 2 of them against the D-backs, including the one that proved to be the difference last night, the solo shot that made it 2-0. Adrian Gonzalez has been a problem as well. Gordon dancing around at second. Gonzalez launches that one, and that ball is way out of here. That's his 20th, and it's 2-0 LA. Eighth time in 9 seasons that Adrian Gonzalez has hit 20 home runs.
Believe it or not, it makes a big difference. The hour earlier start time here at Dodger Stadium tonight. As the evening wears on, the air gets heavier and heavier. The ball doesn't carry well at all, but starting an hour earlier here, just after 6 o'clock local time, and that ball jumped out of here.
That batting practice today for both sides included a whole lot of balls in those outfield bleachers. The ball is flying.
Warm evening here, 86 degrees at first pitch.
Yeah, it's a little hotter than we're used to. Over the head of Owens at second base, and Matt Kemp is now hitting 12 straight games. Third hit in the inning for LA. Duffy Gozuish going to go out there and slow things down a bit. Gordon doubled down the right field line. Ramirez popped out. Gonzalez homered. Kemp singled, and now here's Carl Crawford. Crawford struck out in his only at bat last night. He has been red hot as of late, though. Along with Kemp and Gonzalez, the Dodgers' best hitters down the stretch in September. .273 and 6 home runs. Crawford has missed a lot of time with injuries this year. Forced out of the lineup at the end of May with a sprained left ankle. Missed 41 games. Did not get back until July 11th. But he's hit just under .290 since the All-Star break and heating up lately. A rocky start for the rookie right-hander Chase Anderson. Carl Crawford, over his last 21 games, has hit over 400. He has raised his batting average for the season by about 40 points in just 21 games. Two balls and a strike. Reaches down and pokes that near the seats along the left field line and out of play.
Well, there was a time just a few years ago that Matt Kemp would have already been on second, maybe on third, at 40 stolen bases back in that 2011 season, but only 8 this year in 13 attempts. He narrowly missed a 40-40 season that year. Had 39 bombs and 40 stolen bases back in 2011.
But is coming off a very serious ankle injury that they thought for a while might be career threatening, and it kind of took him a couple of months to trust his health, but is now moving well once again. Crawford lays off, and it's full 3-2. Juan Uribe is on deck. 2-0 Dodgers. A 2-run home run by Adrian Gonzalez, his 20th this season. Kemp off with a pitch, and Crawford sends it out to right, but right at Cody Ross. And they will have the easy double play here. So they double off the runner at first. Kemp is out. Crawford retired through 1. Dodgers lead at 2-0.
Top of the first and the bottom of the first ended with a very rare 9-3 double play. Now, Chris Owings hit a little floater that looked like it might drop in front of Kemp in right field, but this ball off the bat of Carl Crawford, it was pretty apparent it was going to carry all the way out to Cody Ross, and Matt Kemp just decided, I'm not going to stop.
I mean, Kemp, when he threw out Inciarte, charged the ball and made a hard throw, and it was a close play. Cody could have jogged in from right field and stepped on the base. Kemp just punted on that one. Either that or he thought there were 2 outs. Mark Trumbo leads off the second against Hyunjin Ryu.
Well, you mentioned that ankle injury, and once you get moving, it doesn't bother him, I assume. But stopping and starting quickly is probably where he feels it the most, and just decided he didn't want to stop that time.
Mark Trumbo shoots that one down the right field line. That's a fair ball. It's in the corner. Kemp will play it off the carom, and Mark Trumbo is in at second with his 12th double. He's now hit safely in 7 straight. And he's got 4 doubles during that 7-game hit streak.
Well, we mentioned it in the open. He wanted to be more of a contact hitter, cut down on some of the strikeouts, be a more productive offensive player, and some of it out of necessity. Team's working him away, and he's content to drive that ball to the opposite field. Nice leadoff double right down the right field line.
Mark has now reached base safely in 16 straight games and 33 of his last 34. He's on board to open up the second. And here's Aaron Hill. Aaron getting another start, his second at third base tonight. 244 for the season and 10 home runs. A sensational debut with third on Thursday in San Diego. Lifts this one in the air down the left field line. It is drifting near the seats and out of play. This was Aaron Hill at Petco Park against the Padres. First time he'd played third base since he was a rookie in 2005. And he turns in that one.
Well, he mentioned it before the start. It's more of a reactive position because you're so much closer to home plate. You have to play in to protect against a bunt against some hitters. And Aaron barely had time to make a step and a dive to grab that liner.
Before that ball game, he had played only 35 games in his career at third. The last time being that rookie season in Toronto in 05. Played some third base, second base, and shortstop as a rookie with the Blue Jays that year. And that was it for third base up until this week. It has been about a decade. He's been working hard over there. Shoots that one the other way into right field. Trumbo had to hold up momentarily. Now he's in at third as they let the relay get away. And the Diamondbacks here in the second half, runners on the corners and nobody out.
Right fielder, number 7, Cody Ross.
Well, you love the approach by the first two hitters here in this inning. We mentioned Ryu stays out of the middle of the plate for the most part. He'll work off the inside part and then try to throw strikes on the outside corner. And both Mark Trumbo and Aaron Hill driving that ball to the opposite field.
All three hits, in fact, if you include Inciarte's leadoff single, and been to the opposite field. Cody Ross, 239 on the year. Trumbo in third. And Aaron Hill on first. Cody 1 for 3 since he returned from that DL stint out with the left calf strain. He was out for 38 games. Looks down to Glenn Sherlock, the third base coach. Chance to get right back in it here in the second against Hyunjin Ryu.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
D-backs trying to get the offense going to keep up with the pitching and the defense, both of which have been very good lately. Last night's 2-1 loss makes it now 9 straight games in which the D-backs have allowed 3 or fewer runs. But during that 9-game stretch, they are only 4 and 5. The pitching has done its part. The defense has been at times sensational. The offense has not been there. Trying to change that right here. Cody's seen a lot of junk up there from Ryu. First time they faced him this season was in Sydney. He worked 5 innings, allowed only 2 hits. Second time was April 11th at Chase Field. He was even better. 2 hits in 7 innings, 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. Last year, Ryu started 5 games against the D-backs and had a 4.65 ERA. He won only once. He has been at times dominant this year, though. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, nobody out. Dodgers lead at 2-0 on Adrian Gonzalez's 2-run home run, his 20th of the year. It's full. Mark Trumbo is the runner at third, Aaron Hill at first. Three-2 is in the dirt. And the bases are loaded with no outs here in the second. And here comes a guy who was launching some baseballs. Now it's batting practice, granted, but as Bob mentioned, it's a little hotter here tonight for whatever reason than we're used to this time of year in LA. And Nolan Reimold was hitting him into that second section of bleachers out there in left field, and he was hitting him out there a lot. The ball was jumping off his bat, so let's see if he can connect right here. Ball one.
Now you heard Nolan Reimold give the scouting report on Ryu tonight. He has faced him before, only 3 at-bats, 1 hit, and that was a home run. Has to be a little bit comforting, though, when you come over to a new league. Everybody's new. You've never seen any of these guys or their arm angles or the movement on their pitches. Even 3 at-bats helps.
That was a tough day for Nolan. His last time out Monday in San Diego, 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Especially after he had 2 hits in his D-backs debut last Saturday night, and then the pinch hit homer on Sunday, his first National League home run. That's out of play. So Nolan Reimold Sunday at Chase against Jorge De La Rosa. A pinch hit home run, the first of his career.
Has a little bit of a long stride, which gets him on the bottom of the baseball a lot. Hits a lot of balls in the air with backspin.
Nolan Reimold played with David Hernandez in the Orioles system when they were both coming up, and Hernandez said, you know, he's seen Reimold hit some mammoth home runs, a guy who has definitely got a lot of power. In fact, David said that when he was coming up in the minor leagues, Nolan Reimold was the best hitter he ever played with. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pat Hoberg not biting there behind the plate.
I mentioned it last half inning that Ryu will show pitches inside. You see A.J. Ellis way off the plate inside. That ball's not close to the inside corner. He tries not to make mistakes where a hitter can pull the ball hard. He'll come off the plate inside and then go right back away.
Which might help explain all the Diamondback hits to the opposite field tonight.
Absolutely.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Nolan Reimold. Bases loaded, no outs here in the second. Yes, he held up Scott Barry down there. And it's a full count to Reimold. Got away with one there.
Very close.
Trumbo's at third, Hills at second, and Ross the runner at first. Called strike 3, got him.
Well, it's hard to explain how this can possibly happen. Bases loaded. You got Ryu on the ropes, an opportunity to jump right back in this ball game and then take a 3-2 fastball right down the middle of the plate.
That was a pretty hittable pitch. Clearly looking for something else. A.J. Ellis out there to talk it over as Tuffy Gozawish steps in. So now you've got Gozawish, the 8th hitter, and Anderson, the pitcher, behind him, trying to get these runs in. Tuffy 218 on the year. He has got 1 hit in his last 17 at bats. There's a strike on 1.
Those bats have been tough to come by for Tuffy. Seems not so long ago, Kirk Gibson declared that Miguel Montero was going to rest more, Tuffy was going to play more, and then he quickly reversed field a couple days later, and Tuffy just hasn't had many opportunities.
Gozawish lifts that in the air to left, but Crawford makes a sliding catch, and everybody has to hold up. No chance for Trumbo to tag on that one. He was halfway down the line at third. Looked like it might drop.
That's just buzzard luck right there. Hit a ball hard. Looks like it was going to get down for a base hit. Maybe 1-2 runs. And Carl Crawford uses that speed to come in, make a nice sliding catch. And as you said, Trumbo was caught off the bag down there at third by the time he went back to tag. No chance to score.
So now it's bases loaded, 2 outs, and the pitcher Chase Anderson steps in. One for 30 on the year. Trumbo led off the inning with a double down the right field line. Aaron Hill, a base hit to right, sent Trumbo to third. Ross walked. Now it's bases loaded, 2 outs. A ball and a strike. One and two.
Maybe nips the top part of the strike zone.
Down 2-0. The Diamondbacks have bases loaded, no outs, and cannot get a run across. It stays 2-zip LA. Nine home games left on the D-backs 2014 schedule, and one of those nights next Saturday, September 13th, it's Paul Goldschmidt bobblehead night. You can support the D-backs as they take on the Padres, a 5-10 start. First 25,000 fans to join us at Chase Field get this gorgeous Goldie bobblehead courtesy of Chevrolet. For tickets, visit dbacks.com today. Got the silver slugger on there, the gold glove, the whole thing. Chase Anderson back out there to work to Juan Uribe, Jock Peterson, and A.J. Ellis, 6, 7, and 8 in the LA second. Dodgers lead it 2-0 on the Adrian Gonzalez 2-run homer in the first. They had bases loaded, nobody out in the top of this inning, and could not scratch a run across. So here's Uribe to lead it off. 0 for 3 last night. 294 and 7 homers. First pitch swinging, high in the air, shallow left field. Cliff Pennington is out there. Nolan Reimold calls him off and makes a running catch. Look at the Diamondbacks behind Chase Anderson. It's our mid-first bank starting defense.
Long way to go that time for Nolan Raimold in left field. Ender Inciarte will be in center field. Cody Ross, his first start since the middle of July, out in right. Aaron Hill, Cliff Pennington on the left side of the infield. Chris Owings, Mark Trumbo on the right side, with Tuffy Gosowich doing the catching for right-hander Chase Anderson.
As we mentioned, no David Peralta tonight. He's got a little bit of a sore back. Nothing serious, they say. Kurt Gibson wanted to get him in there, but they thought it was best to give David the night off. So a chance for Cody Ross to play right field and bat against the left-hander Ryu. Here is rookie Jock Peterson, 2 for 9, 5 strikeouts so far in his major league career. Made his big league debut on Labor Day after he was named MVP of the Pacific Coast League this year. He had a sensational season down there. All for AAA Albuquerque. He hit .303, 33 home runs, 78 RBIs. He also stole 30 bases. That made Peterson the first player in 80 years to hit 30 homers and steal 30 bases in the Coast League. Last guy was Frank Demery in 1934. He had himself a heck of a season down there, just 22 years old. Look out. The bat goes over and in the D-back dugout as Peterson strikes out.
Couple of really good changeups there from Chase Anderson to end that sequence. Peterson fooled badly on both of them, so badly on the second one he just let the bat go, trying to extend into that hitting zone. Tried to get a little more plate coverage, and the bat came out, goes all the way down to the end of the D-backs dugout. Watch out, Miggy.
Miggy's got the night off. No one would get injured in the dugout. A.J. Ellis, the catcher. They're excited about Jock Peterson. Maybe not so much after that at bat. Miggy's still laughing it up down there. He's hiding behind the camera guy. Our crew is protecting the catcher. A.J. Ellis, a walk and a run scored last night. 192 on the year, just 1 home run. Chase Anderson falls behind 3-0. It has been a difficult offensive season for the Dodger catcher. Difficult health-wise as well. Season barely started when A.J. Ellis wound up missing 34 games. Needed surgery on that left knee, a torn meniscus. Came back middle of May, played 10 days, went back on the DL with an ankle injury. There's the strike. It's full 3-2.
Yeah, Dodgers are glad to have him back, though, for what he brings behind the plate, working this outstanding Dodgers pitching staff. As a matter of fact, all 3 catchers on the Dodgers roster hitting under 200 this season. Drew Butera, who had the bulk of the playing time while Ellis was injured. Tim Fedorovich, some playing time throughout the course of the season, and Ellis all hitting under 200.
All 3 guys are currently up with the big league club as September rosters have expanded. Ellis missed 5 weeks after having that left knee scope. Second time in 18 months he has had to have that left knee operated on. He strikes out looking there. Second strikeout for Chase Anderson. He works a 1-2-3 second. A.J. Ellis not happy with Pat Hoberg behind the plate. But Hoberg brings him up and sits him down. We are through 2. D-backs trailing 2-0. Yesterday had a great season at AAA Albuquerque. He ended the year by giving away his car. Not a car from a local dealership, his actual car. That's his 1994 Buick Century. It had about 160,000 miles on it. He loved the car. He nicknamed it Little Chucky. And he allowed the Isotopes to give Little Chucky to one, we'll call him a lucky fan. As you can see, the car is just hideous. It's an ugly, beat-up brown Buick Century. No hubcaps, no air conditioning. And it did, according to the ball club, have at least one operable window. And the Blue Book value was about $1,000. And so at the end of a season with Albuquerque, Jock Peterson gave away Little Chucky.
I have a feeling Jock Peterson's next car here at the big league level is going to be a little nicer than Little Chucky.
Maybe it'll have hubcaps.
Yeah.
Uribe throws out Inciarte. One away in the third. That's kind of a fun thing. As you said yesterday, probably the best way for him to get rid of the car.
Yeah, I think it's a great move. Great PR move on the part of the Isotopes and Jock Peterson. I'm sure there's some lucky fan, as you said, that was very glad to get that vehicle.
It's probably worth hundreds of dollars.
Now he's hoping, whoever that lucky fan was, or she is hoping that Jock Peterson goes to the Hall of Fame someday, and they'll park that car out in the back of the lot, put a cover over it, and maybe it'll be worth something.
Now that's the question. Once you've purchased the car, or if you were the lucky winner, do you then just, put a tarp over it and hide it in case Peterson plays the way they think he's going to? It's like having some guy's a rookie baseball card. Put it in a little plastic case and wait 20 years. 0-2 on Pennington, who struck out his first time.
What was your first car?
I got the family car when did I get my license? It's a good question. About I gotta say 81 I got my license. It was a 1975 Ford Gran Torino.
Oh, nice.
Which was about the size of an ocean liner. And it had a terrible radiator in it. You know the Starsky and Hutch car?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, only not even close to that paint job. But yeah, you drive it about a mile and the radiator would explode.
Fill it up with water and check the gas.
Yeah, you kind of drove to places in sections with the water in the trunk, and eventually you got there. Pennington strikes out for the second time. 2 down in the third.
I had a 1962 Chevrolet Nova that had rusted, the bottom had rusted so badly under the driver's seat that the person that owned the car before me actually bolted 2x4s down to the floor, and the seat was bolted in one spot. You couldn't move it forward, couldn't move it backward.
How long did that thing last?
I drove it probably for the better part of a year, and then I started inheriting my parents' cars when they would upgrade.
Now, what'd you drive around as a minor leaguer?
I actually had a style and van.
A van?
Yeah.
You were a van guy?
Well, at the time it seemed appropriate because we were, going from city to city and back to Ohio in the wintertime, and we could fit everything we owned in that van. So, after my senior year of college, we bought a 1977 van and put a whole bunch of miles on that driving around the country chasing baseball.
I figure if you get traded or something, just throw everything in there and off you go.
Off you go.
It's good thinking. I wonder where that van is now.
I don't know.
Chris Owings fouls that one in the right field seat.
Probably down by the river somewhere.
Look at this. We have an update. It's turned into the car talk like on NPR. Got an update.
Yeah, Pope John Paul II's car that he once owned, a light blue 1975 Ford Escort, sold for $690,000.
Well, you should be able to get that for Little Chucky in about 20 years. I just like the name, Little Chucky. That's pretty cool. Ryu at 50 pitches now, 34 for strikes. 2-2 on Chris Owings. Hyunjin Ryu has not, as we said, walked a whole lot of guys this year. Only 27 batters in 24 starts. And the 3-2 is bounced to shortstop. Hanley Ramirez. And Ryu has retired 6 in a row. He leads it 2-0.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to make those trips, but a lot of nice parks out here and good weather, so enjoying it.
Nolan Reimold with our Geico quote of the game. He had spent his entire career before being picked up off of waivers by the D-backs in the American League. So, as he mentioned there, this trip kind of a magical mystery tour, learning the different fields. I don't think he enjoyed Petco all that much. You mentioned 0 for 4 with the 4 strikeouts tonight, caught looking right down the middle, but a nice bat to have in this lineup. As you mentioned, David Hernandez singing his praises. The two had come up in that Baltimore organization, but Nolan doing a nice job as he makes his way and checks out Dodger Stadium. And then, of course, we head north to San Francisco.
It's a great division, Brad, for travel, as you know. We get to go to some great ballparks and some great cities. Hyunjin Ryu leads off the third against Chase Anderson. It was a rough start for Chase. He gave up hits to 3 of the first 4 Dodger batters he faced, including the Gonzalez 2-run homer, but he has settled down since. He's retired 4 straight. Scott Barry not going to ring him up right there. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Chase Anderson took a page from the Josh Colmenter playbook. Did the same thing Josh did when he started feeling sluggish out there, not quite as sharp, which is to kind of cool it between starts. Take it easy. This is there. Colmenter, like Anderson, way over his innings total from last year. So Chase also cut back on the workload between starts, just as Colmenter has done. And it seems to have helped. He strikes out Ryu. That's 3 straight strikeouts for Chase Anderson.
Second baseman, number 9, D. Gordon.
There's Josh Colmenter. Chase against the Rockies in his last start worked on 6 days rest. The lighter routine between starts also helped, and he said he felt great out there. In fact, better now than he did in April, knock on wood. And Chase said he thinks it goes back to the routine and not doing as much in between starts.
Saving bullets is what pitchers call it. Don't throw quite as many pitches in your side session. Maybe focus on one particular pitch that you'd like to tighten up a little bit and be done with it. Boy, especially early in the season, guys can go down there for a side session and throw more pitches than they're going to throw in their next start.
You wonder how long it is in this age of advanced analytics. Maybe people look at 6-man rotations and lessening workloads between starts year round, not just when guys get tired. Who knows? And Kirk Gibson said this was important. They want Chase Anderson to pitch in September and through September. But at the same time, they don't want him out there going 7, 8, 9 innings right now. There is a limit, Gibby says. Gordon slapped that one to shortstop. Tough play for Cliff Pennington, and the throw is offline. Gordon's aboard. Very little chance you were going to get the speedy D. Gordon on that one. A tough play for the shortstop.
I don't even think Didi makes that play. With D. Gordon running, it changes everything. You have to rush everything you do defensively. Get to the ball quicker, get it out of your glove quicker, throw it quicker. There's no chance to get the leadoff hitter.
So D. Gordon so far, a double and a single. He's already scored a run. Came in on the Gonzalez homer, and he's aboard with 1 out in the 3rd for Hanley Ramirez. Leading the major leagues in stolen bases down there. 58 steals this year. Ramirez popped up his first time, 0 for 1.
And you would expect him to go early in the sequence here to Hanley Ramirez. Ideally for the Dodgers, they want to get D. Gordon out there into scoring position as quickly as possible. For Ramirez, Gonzalez, and possibly Kemp in this inning. And with that in mind, Chase Anderson snaps a pickoff throw over there. Will probably change his rhythm to the plate, hold the ball until somebody calls timeout. Maybe quick pitch.
Long set here from Chase, waiting for somebody to call time, and there it is.
Yeah, it's really the hitter's responsibility to protect the base runner. If you get a pitcher that goes up into the set position and just stands there, as Chase Anderson did, as a hitter, it's your duty to call timeout and protect your base runner. D. Gordon might be getting jumpy over there at first base, start leaning a little bit.
Quick move over. We saw the great Maury Wills here at the ballpark yesterday. And Gordon has worked on his bunting with Maury Wills, and he's worked on his base stealing with his first base coach, Davey Lopes, down there right now. That short game is a real weapon for their all-star second baseman, and he's got some good sources to go to. And Davey Lopes says about D. Gordon, you know, there are guys who steal bases, but D. Gordon is a base stealer. And Lopes says the base stealer is the guy who takes the attention away from the hitter, and the guy everybody is looking at and worried about down there at first, and that certainly fits D. Gordon.
That's still very predictable. It was that way when I played, when I managed. If Maury Wills is in town, the guys in the Dodger lineup who are capable of bunting for a base hit are going to try to bunt for a base hit.
Try to impress Maury.
Yeah, they'd come out early and work on it. You know, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd see guys out here practicing their bunting for a base hit, practicing their jumps at first base, and then, you know, Maury would go off and do whatever it is he does the rest of the time. But that night, you could bet on it. They were going to try to bunt for base hits, and they were going to try to steal bases if they got on.
Talk about a guy that just disrupted everything when he was on the bases. Maury Wills. And you can see exactly what Davey Lopes was talking about. Just the presence of Gordon down there at first has brought the game to a halt. Well, they try to manage his presence on the bases. And Davey Lopes certainly had a presence in his day. Part of that great Dodger infield of the 70s. With Ron Say at third, Bill Russell at shortstop, Davey Lopes at second, Steve Garvey at first. 1-1 to Hanley. We saw the Penguin at the ball game today. He was down there with one of the celebrities. You know, Dodger Stadium is always celebrities wearing Dodger jerseys around here. But Flea, your guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers, was down there. And I was down there with Glenn Sherlock, and I said, hey, look over there. It's a penguin and Flea.
The Penguin has fleas.
Apparently. There goes Gordon. Ramirez fouls it back.
You know, I like to talk about the rhythm of the game, especially for a starting pitcher. You get into a rhythm out there on the mound, and then suddenly this is Flea throwing out the first pitch, number 333. Just a bit wide.
He was having a ball down there, Flea. Very nice guy. Everybody wanted a picture. He was very accommodating, happy to be down there. A lot of the Diamondback players were sneaking over there to get some photos. Kept Lupe busy all afternoon, taking pictures with everybody's phones. Gordon bluffs at first, and Ramirez strikes out.
I was talking about the rhythm of a starting pitcher. You kind of get into a situation where you're throwing a pitch every 15, 20, 25 seconds, whatever it may be. You find the strike zone, you find the edges of the strike zone, you work all your pitches into the mix, and then D. Gordon gets on first base, and everything changes. You've got to slow your rhythm down out there on the mound. You have to pay attention to the base runner as well as the hitter at the plate. And that's when mistakes tend to get made.
Now you had a guy up there, Hanley, who has really struggled lately. Now you've got the red hot hitting Gonzalez up there. Does that change anything for Gordon?
I don't think so. I mean, normally you would want to leave that hole in the right side of the infield for Adrian Gonzalez to maybe pull one through that right side. But Chris Owings has cheated over toward that hole a little bit to try to take it away. And I don't consider Adrian Gonzalez to be a dead pull hitter anyway. So I think if Gordon feels like he can get a jump, Don Mattingly wants him to steal this base.
Well, Chase Anderson has struck out 4 of the last 5 batters he's faced. Gonzalez is up there with 2 out, and Gordon aboard at first. A 2-run home run off Chase Anderson in the first inning. His 20th of the year, and his 5th this year against the Diamondbacks. Out in front, 1-1. Gonzalez 1 for 4, a single and a strikeout last night. Pitch tailed away nicely that time. This guy has been a handful for the boys from Arizona this year. There's the strike, 1-2. 18 games against the D-backs this year for Gonzalez. He is our top-tier player of the game, brought to you by Arco. Look at those numbers, including tonight. 421, 5 homers, 19 RBIs in 18 games. Our top-tier player of the game, brought to you by Arco. A ball and 2 strikes. Another long set by Anderson, who finally steps on. D. Gordon takes off. The throw from Gozawish, and they might get him here. Then they do. Tuffy Gozawish throws out the Major League stolen base leader, and that ends the inning. Let's take a look. Here comes Don Mattingly. Go out there and have a conversation with Mark Carlson at second base. The throw appeared to beat him.
Once again, a runner sliding and catching the bag with his back leg. The left foot extended over the base. Pennington got the tag down quickly on that back leg.
Diamondbacks have come off the field. Most of them have gathered along the first base line while Mattingly looks and waits for a signal from his dugout.
If that left foot comes down on the base right there, he's safe easily. But you see the left foot goes up in the air, and Pennington with that quick tag.
And we have no challenge. That is it. 2-6 on the caught stealing. Gozawish throws out Gordon to end the third, and through 3, D-backs trail at 2-0. photo on the Twitter with a hashtag and the whole thing, AZFanPhoto. For your chance to have your fan photo shown in our game broadcast, brought to you by AT&T. And on this trip by Leo Gilmartin, member of the Brenly Committee, who has so far had an outstanding road trip.
He really has had a great road trip.
Hyunjin Ryu has retired 6 in a row. Mark Trumbo leads off the 4th. Mark doubled down the right field line in his first at bat. That extended his hit streak to 7 games. And as we told you in the open, Mark Trumbo since August 1st has really put up some pretty good numbers and has been much more of an overall hitter, much less of an all or nothing guy. That has been a goal throughout the course of the year. This one has bounced to short, right to Ramirez. 1 down in the 4th.
Yeah, that's where it started back in that second inning. Trumbo doubled, Aaron Hill singled, Cody Ross drew a base on balls to load him up with nobody out, and the Diamondbacks did not score. It's the 5th time this season they've had the bases loaded and haven't been able to push across a run. That ties them for the most in the majors with the New York Yankees.
Bases loaded, no outs in the second, but Reimold struck out looking. Gozuish lined out to left on a nice sliding catch by Carl Crawford, and Anderson struck out to end it. Aaron Hill singled his first time. Aaron Hill over to third for the second time on this trip, an indication that the D-backs will have several good young players in the middle infield they want to get a look at, trying to give some good young guys the at-bats they need, and Chris Owings certainly near the top of that list. So Owings is down at second base tonight, and Aaron Hill's at third. And that happens on a lot of ball clubs. Not the only time that's happened, where you have to take a veteran guy and ask him to change spots because you want your players to play. So it's a new challenge for the veteran Aaron Hill. And he has worked hard down there at third. And he hits it right to third. Uribe. 2 down. Hyunjin Ryu starting to collect some ground ball outs. That's 4 of the last 5 batters.
Outfielder number 7, Cody Ross.
Brings up Cody Ross, who walked his first time. Hyunjin Ryu, a winner in his previous start Sunday at San Diego, and leads this one 2-0. At Petco Park, Ryu allowed only 1 run on 4 hits. He pitched 7 innings and had 7 strikeouts. He looked really good. And that was his first start since the middle of August. He spent 2 weeks on the DL, a strained right glute muscle. Got him right in the wallet. It was a low-grade strain suffered after planting his right leg late on his 97th and final pitch in his previous start in Atlanta. That was August 13th. And so he had to sit out a while. Second time this year Ryu has been on the DL. He missed just over 3 weeks in May with left shoulder inflammation. 0-2 on Cody Ross. Time called by Pat Hoberg back there. Hyunjin Ryu has lost just once in his last 7 starts. A 5-1 record. A 2.17 ERA over those 7 starts. He has allowed a total of just 11 runs. He continues to just throw a lot of junk at Cody Ross.
You look at the numbers for Ryu this season in his starts. He's really only had 3 really bad starts. Gave up 8 runs, 6 earned against the Giants back in April. Gave up 5 runs or 6 runs, 5 earned against the Rockies later in April, and then more recently against the Tigers gave up 7 earned runs in just 2 1/3. But other than that, he's kept his team in the ball game every time out there.
Tonight going for his 15th win. He won 14 games last year as a rookie after coming over from the Korean Professional League. He was a very successful starting pitcher there. The Hanwha Eagles of South Korea in their Major Baseball League, the KBO, where he led the league in strikeouts 5 times and was an all-star in each of his 7 seasons in the league. Another bouncer to shortstop, and Hanley Ramirez. Another ground ball out for Ryu, who has retired 9 in a row and leads it 2-0. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Adrian Gonzalez will lead off the 4th after his home run made it 2-0 LA.
We love to coach. I mean, and obviously we'd like to have more wins. That's the bottom line. But it's keeps us busy, keeps me on my toes. I'm still as an older gentleman now. I'm still active, and I still enjoy that very much. So for me, that never gets old. I like to go out there and teach, and obviously we've got a little more room for improvement. But from my standpoint, they're both sponges, and they're only going to get better.
When that man, Alan Trammell, talks about feeling not a bad idea to pay attention, 6-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, talking about working with Didi Gregorius as well as Chris Owings over at second base. And that man, Aaron Hill, who has switched over to third base, he just said they're all really willing and very much capable of learning. It's been a good experience for all. But Alan Trammell, as you saw on the pregame show, pleased with what Aaron Hill's been able to do, but really, really thrilled about Didi playing over at shortstop, a position Allen did so well for so long with the Tigers.
And Brad, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
For the way he played. One of the all-time greats, one of the best of his era, certainly, Alan Trammell. Gonzalez hits that high in the air to right center field. Cody Ross is underneath it, and that's the first out in the 4th.
And Alan Trammell has been around this game long enough to know what a good fielder looks like. And when you hear him say some of the things we've heard him say about Didi Gregorius, especially over the last month or month and a half, that carries a lot of weight. Alan Trammell has been one of the best. He's seen a lot of the best, and he thinks Didi has a chance to be one of those guys.
20 years in the major leagues, Alan Trammell, over 2,300 hits. He won 4 Gold Gloves. He won 3 Silver Sluggers. And a World Series ring in 1984. A teammate of Kirk Gibson's on that ball club. That year, Tram hit .314. A .382 on-base percentage. 34 doubles, 14 homers. Gold Glove defense at short. Finished 9th in the MVP vote. Matt Kemp. A single for Kemp in his first at bat. And he has been tremendous for LA in the second half of the season. Since the All-Star break, he's hit .310. 10 homers and 32 RBIs in his last 44 games. And that single in the first extended his hit streak, now at 12 games. air, keeping Cody Ross busy out there. Easy play for Cody, 2 down. The great Alan Trammell.
Getting some instruction from Sparky Anderson. Flashing some leather up the middle of the field, the pirouette and fire on to first to get Robin Yount. That looks a little bit like the play we saw from Didi going in the hole last night.
Every time he was out there, you could ride him in for, somewhere north of 30 doubles, usually somewhere between 18, 25 homers, Gold Glove defense. Carl Crawford along the left field line and out of play. I think sometimes Tram, in the minds of the voters, gets penalized for having played with Lou Whitaker for so long. And they were it. They were the double play combination for years. And I think because Whitaker was so good, people kind of might go in their hazy memories, well, part of the reason he was so good is because he had Whitaker next to him. It seems like he might get penalized for that in some kind of weird way. Shattered bat right off the bag at first. Trumbo, though, nowhere near it, fortunately, to collect that one and toss to Chase Anderson covering. The great Alan Trammell and sweet Lou Whitaker. Tiger greats on that 84 team. We are through 4 in L.A. Diamondbacks trail at 2-0.
Do not miss the explosive final season of Sons of Anarchy, premiering Tuesday, September 9th, only on FX.
I felt that you should read that promo because you got the motorcycle in the garage there.
Absolutely.
Hyunjin Ryu has retired 9 straight Diamondbacks. He's out there to start the 5th with a 2-0 lead. Dodgers got both their runs in the first inning against Chase Anderson on Adrian Gonzalez's 2-run homer, his 20th of the year. D-backs had a chance to get back even in the top of the second. They had bases loaded, nobody out, could not get a run across, so it stays 2-zip. Nolan Reimold, he was up there with the bases full and looked at strike 3 right down the middle, looking for something else from Ryu. Bottom third of the D-backs order here in the 5th. Reimold, Gozawish, and Anderson, the pitcher. D-backs awarded a waiver claim on Nolan Reimold a few days after he was designated for assignment by the Blue Jays after 5 years in Baltimore. 1-2 now. Hyunjin Ryu, lately the ground ball has been working. He did not have a ground ball out in either the first or the second inning. But 5 of the last 6 Diamondbacks have been put out on ground ball outs. So Ryu starting to get that going here. 2-2 now. Called strike 3. 5 strikeouts for Ryu. He has retired 10 in a row.
Well, to say that Pat Hoberg has been calling that inside strike all night really doesn't matter. That's not a strike. But he has been going off that inside quarter, especially up at the top of the zone on that inside part of the plate.
Tough one for Nolan right there. Here's Tuffy Gozuish, who hit a liner out to short left, on which Carl Crawford made a nice sliding grab. And he shoots this one down the right field line. That's a fair ball. It gets to the corner. Nat Kemp plays it off the carom, and Tuffy Gozuish in at second with his 6th double. And the Diamondbacks have a base runner now for Chase Anderson. That snaps a 1 for 18 for Tuffy.
An inside out swing that time. That ball slicing away from Matt Kemp the whole way out there. Rattles around out near the Diamondbacks bullpen. Tuffy in scoring position with 1 out for Chase Anderson.
Anderson struck out to end the 2nd. D-backs and Dodgers for the 18th and next to last time this year. Series and season finale tomorrow. So this weekend, last chance to get a couple of W's in the ledger against LA. After these two opened up the Major League season, which seems so long ago, back on March 22nd in Sydney, Australia. One and two. Anderson strikes out. That's 6 for Ryu. 2 down in the 5th. Oh.
Yeah, I got just a piece of it. Big, slow, loopy breaking ball that time from Ryu. Chase's eyes lit up. He finally saw a pitch he might be able to handle it. He fouls it down into the dirt off of A.J. Ellis.
Caught Ellis. A ball and 2 strikes. .75 pitches for Ryu, 51 for strikes. Tuffy Gozuish, the runner at second. 1 out here in the 5th. This is there, 2 and 2.
Well, that's the same pitch that Nolan Ryan got called out on.
Yeah, that was it. Anderson stays alive again. Pitch number 8 coming up. There's called strike 3. 2 down.
Center fielder number 5, Ender Inciarte.
Ender Inciarte singled his first time up. Grounded out in the 3rd, 1 for 2. A.J. Pollock battling a bit of a groin injury, nothing serious, but he's got the night off. So Inciarte in there in center field and starting against the left-hander. Ender Inciarte says he got off to a terrible start as a major leaguer. Made his debut May 2nd, and over his first 19 games, he made only 8 starts. Didn't hit a whole lot, went just 4 for 36. There's a bouncer to second. D. Gordon is there, and that's the inning. They strand the one-out double. We'll head to the home half of the fifth. Diamondbacks trail at 2-0.
All right, Dodger fans, time for a quarter minute to win, presented by Sports Authority.
Three weeks from tonight, on Saturday, September 27th, the D-backs are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Day, presented by Budweiser. The first 20,000 fans into the ballpark will get a David Peralta Los D-backs t-shirt, courtesy of Gila River Casinos. After the game, enjoy a concert featuring Grammy-nominated Latin pop star Kristen Castro. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit dbacks.com today.
That is a nice-looking shirt.
Yes, it is.
No Peralta in the lineup tonight. He's got a little bit of a sore back, so he gets the rest against the lefty. And Cody Ross is out there in right field behind Chase Anderson, who's out there to start the home half of the fifth. They'll work to Juan Uribe, Jock Peterson, and A.J. Ellis, 6, 7, and 8 for L.A. Uribe flied out his first time 0 for 1. He was 0 for 3 last night. Juan Uribe, first 2 years of his last Dodger contract, was just a disaster. Hit 199 over 2 seasons, only 6 home runs in 2 years. But then had a very good year last season. Hit 278, 12 homers, played good defense. And almost unthinkable, 2 years ago they brought him back. He is here again on a 2-year, $15 million deal. In his 14th year in the big leagues. Anderson strikes him out. That's 5 strikeouts for Chase, 1 down.
Well, we've got playoff news from Mobile tonight.
Center fielder, number 65.
Blair was pitching.
Yeah, rough outing for Aaron Blair tonight. 5 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, surrendered 4 homers as the Bay Bears drop a 7-5 decision to Jacksonville. Jacksonville takes a 2-1 lead in that 5-game series.
Well, Aaron Blair had a terrific year this year. Their second pick in the first round a year ago out of Marshall. And just really moved his way up the charts through the system. Played at a couple of different levels. And a terrific season.
Yeah, Reno, Visalia, and Hillsborough also in action tonight, just getting underway.
There's Jock Peterson, who played all year at AAA Albuquerque and had a big year. Pacific Coast League MVP. Hits that one out of play. Don Mattingly says the Dodgers coaches all like the way Jock Peterson, as Mattingly put it, kind of carries himself. He says they have seen him since he was a really young guy, and you could tell right away he had that little swagger to him, confidence. He knew he was a player, and he grew up around the game. Peterson's dad, Stu, played minor league baseball for 12 years, most of them in the Dodgers system, and did reach the major leagues, but only very briefly. God, Holberg's having a tough night back there. Right back to the mound.
Dodger catcher number 17, A.J. Ellis.
Brings up A.J. Ellis. Tell you what, since Chase Anderson had that rough start, 3 of the first 4 Dodger batters had base hits. Gordon doubled. Gonzalez homered, made it 2-0. Kemp singled with 1 out into first. And since the Kemp single, Chase Anderson has allowed only 1 base runner. That Gordon infield single in the 3rd.
And Gordon was erased, caught stealing by Tuffy Gosewich, throwing him out at second base.
So a tough start for Chase, but he has really pitched well since that first inning. He's retired 6 in a row. He's got 5 strikeouts. And he's ahead of A.J. Ellis, 0-1. A.J. at this point in the year has accepted the fact, you see his numbers right there, 191 and 1 homer. It's not going to be a great offensive season for him. He says that ship has sailed. Cliff Pennington's throw pulls Trumbo off the bag, but there's the tag. 7 straight set down by Chase Anderson through 5. He trails it 2-0. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. We'll see Mark Trumbo in the 6th. He's already doubled tonight. Nothing lead as we start the 6th inning, and Ryu lately, Bob, has had that ground ball working. 6 of the last 9 outs recorded have been on the ground.
I think it's just more about location than anything else. He's getting everything down. Fastball down, slider down, changeup down. Diamondbacks just keep hitting the top half of the baseball and beating it into the ground out there in front of home plate. Some easy plays for the Dodgers infield.
He's got 6 ground ball outs here. He's got 6 strikeouts and a 2-0 lead as Cliff Pennington, Chris Owings, and Mark Trumbo come up. 2, 3, and 4 in the Diamondbacks 6th. Braves, by the way, just beat the Marlins 4-3 in 10 innings. So now in the National League, you've got 3 teams all within a half game of that second wild card. And you've got the Dodgers trying to avoid having to play in that wild card game. The Giants won at Detroit earlier today. And so the Dodgers lead as of this moment is only a game and a half ahead of San Francisco atop the NL West. With Pennington 0 for 2, he has struck out twice. Pennington, when he first came back from the DL, was hitting everything. He was batting nearly .380 the first 10 games back, but Since that point, he is 4 for his last 34 with 12 strikeouts.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Cliff is ahead now, 3 balls and a strike. Still 2-1 now. Scoreboard here now. The scoreboard puts that ball up, so it's 3-1, and that one is on the ground to second. Lee Gordon spins and throws one away.
Second baseman, number 16, Chris Owings.
Brings up Chris Owings, who's 0 for 2. '85 pitches for Ryu, 56 for strikes, with 1 out in the 6th. Two and one. The wave makes its way across the ballpark.
I used to try to use the wave to my advantage.
Now, how do you do that?
I tried to time it and give the signs to my pitcher so that his delivery would be coming to home plate just as the wave was going out there by the batter's eye in right and left center field.
So you're like a surfer trying to time the break.
Time the wave, yep.
Got it. How'd that work out?
I don't know.
Bob Brenly, ladies and gentlemen. 7 strikeouts for Ryu, 2 down.
I'd like to think I was trying to help my pitcher, but I honestly don't know if it helped or not.
Never got any feedback on the old wave trick.
No.
2 down now for Trumbo. Mark a double in the 2nd inning to extend his hit streak to 7 games. 4 doubles during that 7-game streak. He's 1 for 2. Talked to Mark before the game yesterday, and he was talking about the 4-game series in San Diego that we played before we got here. And he said one big thing that helped him in that series was the fact that Rene Rivera caught all 4 games, because he thought, judging by the way he was pitched to in that first game, he thinks if the catcher in that first game catches the rest of the series, the way he's attacked as a hitter is basically the same throughout the series.
That's a good point. A lot of very good hitters throughout the history of the game didn't try to guess along with the pitcher. They guessed along with the catcher.
Trumbo swings at a high one there. Now 8 strikeouts for Ryu, and he leads it 2-0 as we go to the home half of the 6th in Los Angeles. Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. Dodger Stadium, a warm night here in Los Angeles. Diamondbacks trail at 2-0 as Chase Anderson is out there for the bottom of the 6th inning. They'll face a young Jin Ryu, D. Gordon, Hanley Ramirez, 9-1-2 for the Dodgers. They lead at 2-0. Adrian Gonzalez, a 2-run homer in the first, his 20th of the year. Ryu struck out his first time up. Anderson has retired the last 7 he's faced, and he has given up only 1 hit since the first, a D. Gordon infield single back in the 3rd. Right to Cliff Pennington at shortstop. Here's Gordon, who's 2 for 2.
Number 9, D. Gordon.
Well, Gordon came into the ball game slumping, only 3 for his last 26, but he doubled and scored in the first and had the infield single his last time up, the last hit allowed by Chase Anderson. He's a natural left-hand hitter. He used to switch hit, but gave that up when he found that, you know, I'm pretty comfortable against left-handers. I don't even need to try bat and righty. And this season he's hit about 300 versus lefties. Although because of the slump, he sat out last night's series opener against Fidel Nunez. Anderson ahead 0-2. This thing's moving up there.
Yeah, that changeup has a lot of tailing action tonight. Some nights it'll go straight down almost like a split-fingered fastball. Other times it'll fade away from the left-handed hitter.
Ball strike 3, 6 strikeouts for Chase. 2 down in the 6th.
Shortstop number 13, Hanley Ramirez.
He's thrown so many changeups early in the count to some of these Dodger hitters that he's been able to freeze guys like D. Gordon with a fastball right there on the inside part of the plate.
He's at 74 pitches right now through 5 2/3. He's retired 9 straight. You wouldn't imagine, based on the way that Kurt Gibson has been handling his starting pitchers lately, that Anderson will go too much deeper into the ball game, especially considering he's so far over his innings from last season. Hanley Ramirez, broken bat, little flare into left center, and Inciarte has it. 10 straight retired by Chase Anderson. But the Diamondbacks through 6 trail at 2-0. ISO in celebration of its 50th anniversary. Section 12 in Arizona still open for registration. Find your local region And sign up for fall soccer right now at ayso.org. We are in the 7th in LA. Hyunjin Ryu leads it 2-0. And he has had it rolling as of late. He's got 8 strikeouts, 6 with fastballs. So that fastball has been a little sneaky fast tonight. He's also got 7 ground ball outs the last 4 innings. So a little bit of everything working tonight for the Korean left-hander. He'll work to Aaron Hill, Cody Ross, and Nolan Reimold, 5, 6, and 7. Scheduled here in the 7th. Chase Anderson has really pitched well. He's retired the last 10 he's faced. He's given up only 1 hit, an infield single, since the first inning. 25 pitches thrown his last 3 innings, but it looks like he might be done here as Oliver Perez has started throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Aaron Hill has singled and grounded out, 1 for 2. And as we mentioned earlier, Kirk Gibson has said they want Chase Anderson pitching through September, but they don't want him going 7, 8, 9 innings out there. They have cut down on the workload between starts, and they have cut down on how long he's out there. Aaron Hill shoots that one right by Uribe at third. And Hill is 2 for 3, a leadoff single. And they will keep a close eye on Chase Anderson here, and if somebody in this 6-man September rotation needs to be shut down, they will make an adjustment there, says Gibby. But well, he has looked refreshed and re-energized, Bob, his last 2 starts.
I think just the threat of taking away something that he so loves to do has brought out the best in Chase Anderson. He's not ready for his season to be over yet.
Yeah, he wants the ball. Cody Ross. There was that rough patch there for Chase when it looked like he was kind of hitting a wall there. Struggled last month in losses to Washington and San Diego. They saw him lose his touch, lose his feel. Couldn't find the strike zone. But Kirk Gibson says they feel fine about running him back out there because they have not seen any big drop in velocity, anything like that. In fact, the velocity has been up for Chase Anderson since they cut back on that workload between starts.
I think the biggest worry this time of year is pitching with fatigue. We've talked about Chase Anderson has not pitched in September before in his career and thrown more innings this year than he did last year. And the thing you get concerned with is later in ball games, do his mechanics start to come apart to the point where he may risk some kind of an injury? I haven't seen any signs of that here tonight.
3 of the first 4 Dodger batters in the first inning had base hits. Gordon doubled. Gonzalez homer to make it 2-0. Kemp single. And after that, Kemp single with 1 out in the first. Anderson allowed only 1 base runner. A Gordon infield single in the third. Ross able to hold up there, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you worry about this, the innings for Chase Anderson. So he worked 6 tonight. So that got him to 104 in the major leagues, plus 39 at AA Mobile. So he has thrown 55 more innings than he did last year. That's a big chunk. And Ryu now at 100 pitches, 67 for strikes. Cody Ross gets a hold of one, hits a fly ball out to left field, and that ball is off the wall. Aaron Hill is being waved home by Glenn Sherlock. He will score. It's a 2-1 ball game and an RBI double for Cody Ross, his 6th of the year. Just missed a home run off that bullpen fence out there.
If he'd hit this ball about an hour ago, it would have carried the extra couple feet necessary to get out of the ballpark. Looked like Cody thought he got enough of it. But as usual here at Dodger Stadium at night, the ball doesn't carry as well It's up high off of that fence. If he pulls it another 5 or 6 feet and gets it over that short fence into the bleachers, he'd get himself a cheapie right there. But as it is, an RBI double in scoring position with nobody out.
Here's the tying run. Nolan Reimold, who has struck out twice looking, looks at strike one. Veteran Jamie Wright warming up in the LA bullpen. A single by Hill to open up the 7th. A double by Ross has made it a 2-1 ball game. Honeycutt on the phone, checking in on Jamie Wright. It has certainly cooled off here. It was a warm day in LA today. It is now a little cooler and breezy. So the ball might not carry like it was earlier in the ball game, or certainly this afternoon during batting practice when it was flying out of here. Three balls and a strike to Nolan Reimold. Has 8 strikeouts tonight. 6 of them have come with that fastball. Only 1 on the curve and 1 on the slider. Let's see what he's got here on 3 and 2. Spots that fastball for strike 3. 9 strikeouts. He has got Reimold looking 3 times tonight. And I don't know about Pat Hoberg again.
He's having a rough night back there. Ellis sets up off the inside corner, catches that ball on the left side of his body. Once again, not on that inside corner.
So Reimold is retired. Here's Tuffy Gozawish, who doubled his last time up. Bullpen is busy. Rick Honeycutt and Don Mattingly having a conversation as A.J. Ellis goes out to the mound to slow things down a bit here. Pitcher spot is due up next, and Chase Anderson is in the on-deck circle. Mattingly's going to go out there with the interpreter now and try and have a conversation with Ryu. I think he has to identify the gentleman as the interpreter and not a trainer to make sure it's an official visit. And you see Mattingly will talk to the interpreter to Ryu. It's got to be a difficult situation out there.
Yeah, we talk all the time about how important communication is in the game of baseball, and when you have a guy who's not comfortable with English, you got to have a translator to make sure everybody knows exactly what's going on.
You've got the tying run out there in Cody Ross at second base. 1 out. Gozawish is the hitter. Anderson, the pitcher, is out on the on-deck circle, and you've had Oliver Perez warming in the Diamondback bullpen. Tuffy doubled his last time up. There's a strike, 0-1. I get the feeling that Tuffy's seen the ball pretty well tonight. His first out in the second was a liner to left that Crawford made a nice sliding grab on. And his double was one that he just kind of shot down the right field line back in the 5th. This is in the hole. Uribe spins and throws and makes a nice play to get the out. Cody's in at third now, 2 down, and they will recall Chase Anderson. That's going to be it. It looks like A.J. Pollock will come out and take the at bat.
tell you, Uribe is still a very effective player. Anything he can get to, he catches down there at third base. Has a very strong, accurate throwing arm.
He had a really good season for them defensively last year. Has battled hamstring injuries. He's been on the DL twice this year. So here's AJ. Not in the starting lineup tonight, Kirk Gibson told me, because he's got a little bit of a groin, not running all that well right now. Nothing serious, but he was sitting out. But now gets a big at bat against Ryu. Tying run on third, 2 down. It's strike 1.
It seems kind of odd, but AJ has more at bats than anybody else on the Diamondbacks roster against Ryu in his career. 21 previous at bats, 5 for 21. That's a .238 average.
AJ was in center field last night. Had a single and a run scored. 3 hits, including a double in the win at Petco Park on Thursday. Back after missing 79 games with that broken hand. And he shoots that one down the right field line and just misses a foul ball. D-backs had the bases loaded, no outs, down 2-0 in the second. Could not get a run across. Aaron Hill led off the 7th inning here with a single. Ross doubled off the wall in left, scoring Hill. And now they're trying to get Cody home from third and tie this game up with 2 outs. Two and 2. In the hole and throw into left. A base hit for A.J. Pollock. Here comes Cody, and we are tied up at Dodger Stadium. They get the run home from third. A big 2-out pinch hit for A.J. Pollock. And now Mattingly will make the move. He's had the right-hander, Jamie Wright, warming up. Here's A.J.
Yeah, leaves the lefty in to face A.J. Pollock with Jamie Wright loose and ready to go in the bullpen. Pollock makes him pay, and now he's going to make the change and bring in the right-hander to face a left-handed hitter.
I was just thinking, he did motion with his right hand, didn't he? He's going to bring in the righty to face Inciarte. That's it for Ryu, who exits. 3 hits in the 7th for the Diamondbacks have tied it up in L.A. Dodger Stadium 2-2 as we continue the top of the 7th inning. A chance to check out our AT&T fan photo winner as selected by our radio engineer Leo Gilmartin on the road trip, a member of the Friendly Committee. And Leo tonight for our AT&T fan photo has selected, oh boy,
man.
Wrigley Field and Gonzo. What's the ruling on this one?
Well, he's the only player in Diamondbacks history to have his number retired. If you get him on a fan photo, we got to give you some credit for that.
We grudgingly accept this photo from Jennifer. It's a nice photo. The selection is what we have a problem with, so we'll have to give Leo a hard time about that. Hyunjin Ryu responsible for the go-ahead run at first base in 2 outs. He gave up 2 earned runs on 7 hits in 6 2/3. Walked 1 and struck out 9.
Ryu probably wants to ask his translator to ask Don Mattingly, why did he lead me in to face a right-hander but take me out against a lefty?
And then bring in the righty to face the lefty. What's the deal with that? Here's Ender Inciarte, 1 for 3.
Well, part of the explanation for Jamie Wright coming in to face a left-handed hitter is the fact he has those reverse splits. Left-handed hitters batting only .204 against Jamie Wright this year. Righties hitting .283.
Keep in mind, Pollock not in the starting lineup because he's got a little bit of a groin injury right now. It's kind of a little nagging thing, so he is the runner down there at first. A big 2-out infield single. There are the backward platoon splits. On the ground right to D. Gordon at second base. He throws out Inciarte, and it's stretch time here in L.A., but the Diamondbacks get 2, and we are all tied at Dodger Stadium.
Well, the performance has been very, very good for the D-backs starting rotation the last 9 games. D-back pitching coach Mike Harkey telling me earlier today he's really thrilled with the way a lot of guys have been able to kind of turn some dead arms or just some late season lethargy into some real energy right now. And obviously Chase Anderson kind of backing up the starts that Colementor and Miley, Nuno, and Delgado had on this road trip. Bottom line is you got to score some more runs for these guys, but D-backs back in it. But Harkey's done a nice job just making sure these guys monitor what they do at this part of the season between starts. And I think the energy level for the starters is looking pretty good right now.
You're absolutely right, Brad. You look at Josh Colementor and Chase Anderson, Bob, and cutting down on that between starts workload seems to have really helped here in September.
Yeah, Chase looked really sharp tonight after some initial bumps in that first inning. And you saw that graphic a moment ago. 3 earned runs or fewer in 9 straight starts. Unfortunately, the Diamondbacks' record over those 9 is 4-5 because the offense has just not been there.
Now, that is their longest such streak. In more than 12 years, they had a run of 13 straight games holding the opponent to no more than 3 runs in August of 2002. And now on for the 61st time this year with a 1.84 ERA is the left-hander Oliver Perez. He'll work to Adrian Gonzalez, Matt Kemp, and Carl Crawford. 3, 4, and 5 in the LA 7th as we are tied 2-2 at Dodger Stadium. Gonzalez, a 2-run homer in the first, his 20th of the year. That has been all the Dodgers scoring. Second in the National League in RBIs behind only Giancarlo Stanton. He's now up to 94 on the year. 8th time in 9 seasons Gonzalez has hit 20 homers. Following that shoulder operation in 2010, Gonzalez really watched that power production dip. Just wasn't able to drive the ball to center field or left field like he could earlier in his career when he was with San Diego. Only 3 opposite field home runs all of last year. But that shoulder has felt better. He's finishing higher and is getting a little more on it these days. Has been more aggressive, getting balls on more of a home run trajectory and driving them out to all fields. Did he hold up? No, he did not. Pat Hoberg rings him up. 1 down in the 7th.
Right fielder, number 27.
Our APS Energy All-Star, our 2 starting pitchers in this ball game, Hyunjin Ryu and Chase Anderson. Ryu had the ground ball and the strikeout pitch going with some help from Pat Hoberg, the plate umpire, who had some questionable called strike threes.
Well, a nice job by Chase Anderson. No walks. Yeah, that had been an issue for him there for a while. Running up high pitch counts, a lot of 3-ball counts, a lot of full counts, the occasional base on balls, but no issues with that tonight.
And in his previous start, he had 8 strikeouts against the Rockies and no walks. That was Sunday at Chase Field. Matt Kemp, strike 1. Kemp singled his first time up, 1 for 2. His single extended his hit streak to 12 games.
How about those aces, partner?
Oh, what happened?
They're up 1-0 in the 5th inning.
Who started?
Charles Brewer.
Oh, the Brew.
Yeah. Reno with 4 hits, Las Vegas with 3. So far, a 1-0 shutout. Mentioned that Mobile lost their game earlier today. Also, Visalia.
Roll Hyde.
Leading Bakersfield 4-1 in the 4th inning, and the Hillsboro Hops trailing Vancouver 5-4 in the 4th.
I get my man Zach Curtis in there, their closer. Get a lead and send him in. 1-2 on Kemp. Tony La Russa down in Mobile. Joined us during our broadcast yesterday watching that Bay Bears playoff series. After that, I think they've gone over to Jacksonville now, right?
I would assume, yeah.
So that one on the road for the Bay Bears and Andy Green.
And how about once again 5 of the minor league affiliates in postseason play for the Diamondbacks.
Bodes well for the future. Matt Kemp swings at a high outside heater, 2 down.
Boy, right where Tuffy wanted it. Came up out of his crouch, gave that high target to Oliver Perez, and dots the glove. Watch Tuffy. Get it up here. Get it up here. See if we can't get him to chase a high fastball. And sure enough, Kemp cannot lay off.
Kemp's been really rolling right now. He might be feeling pretty good about himself and get at times over aggressive up there, and that seemed to be the case that time. 2 down for Crawford, who's 0 for 2. Crawford came in tune tonight over his last 21 games, hitting better than 400. But he is hitless so far. There's a slow roller to second. Chris Owings throws him out. And Oliver Perez works a quick 1-2-3-7. To the 8th we go. It's a 2-2 ball game. On that little ground out tapper to win the 7th inning, it must have done something that Oliver Perez saw coming. I'm just not sure what.
Yeah, watch Ollie react. The ball's put into play, and Oliver, I'm not sure what he saw, but he thought something was coming right at him, ducked out of the way. Yeah, a little bit of an embarrassing moment, but otherwise a very clean inning. Couple of strikeouts and an easy roller to second base for 3 quick outs.
Look out.
Oh, no. He's following the ball, rolling on the right side. Yeah, maybe just out of the corner of his eye, he saw Crawford drop the bat or whatever, and got his attention out there.
Oliver had a terrific inning, 2 strikeouts and a ground ball. Diamondbacks pitchers have now retired 13 straight Dodgers. They were down 2-0, came back to tie it with 2 runs in the 7th, and Pennington leads off the 8th. Cliff is 0 for 3. He has struck out twice. Part of this crowded D-backs infield here in September. It's tough to get everybody the at-bats they want, and Cliff says there's always somebody coming up to compete for your job. That's life of the big leagues. He knows it's a what have you done for me lately kind of league, but says, you know, in one sense it's a good thing. It forces you to take every play and every at-bat seriously and try and stay around as long as you can. Especially in the last few months of the season, that has, in one sense, been an audition for next year. And Cliff is arbitration eligible for 1 more season. He hopes to be back here in Sedona Red next year. Two balls and 2 strikes. Daniel Hudson in the Diamondback bullpen.
So much for the soft landing. He got that out of the way in San Diego. Now he is a full-fledged member of that bullpen.
2-2 in the 8th inning at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Welcome back.
We'll get him. It's full 3-2. And a big crowd here. How about Daniel Hudson? You come back after everything Daniel went through, and you're in the rookie league ball a couple of times, and then you're with Reno, and we got 50,000 people in the ballpark tonight. 50,823. So that's a little bit of a different stage. There's a shot up the first base line, but foul, says Scott Barry. Dodger Stadium on the weekend. 43,000 plus here last night. Almost 51,000 here tonight. Diamondbacks Live post-game show follows the ball game here on Fox Sports Arizona.
Saturday night game at Dodger Stadium. First few innings were played under bright sunshine here. I thought we'd see more beach balls tonight.
0 so far, which is a shocker. Especially considering it was a warm day here. It kind of had that beach feel to things.
It really did.
Big crowd. Base hit for Pennington. He knocks it back up the box and into center field. And he's the go-ahead run. Leadoff man aboard in the 8th.
Second baseman, number 16, Chris Owens.
Good at bat there by Cliff. He knocked that 3-2 pitch right back into center. A chance for CO now, who's 0 for 3. Here comes Don Mattingly. And he's going to make the move. Brian Wilson. D-backs have the go-ahead run aboard with no outs in the 8th. We're back after this. 28th Diamondback game at Chase Field. Fox Sports Arizona Fan Express, presented by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores, is headed to that ball game, and you can be on board. Stop by this month's participating Fry's Food Store in Flagstaff and enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus to and from the game September 28th at Chase Field. For more information, visit foxsportsarizona.com. The Brian Wilson Show's in town. We got a look last night. Back out there for the 54th time this year.
A mild head scratcher here by Don Mattingly. Of course, I'll preface what I say by saying he knows his team a lot better than I do, but Jamie Wright is a 2.5 ground ball out for every fly ball out. Brian Wilson is about even money.
There's a fly ball, a little pop-up to right center field. Peterson drifting over. And that's the first out. 1 pitch, 1 out for Wilson.
Well, there really wasn't any history to work from with Chris Owings. I guess I just assumed he'd stick with his ground ball pitcher with a runner on base, a potential double play situation, but instead he goes to Brian Wilson. He quickly gets 1 out on 1 pitch.
And brings up Mark Trumbo, who doubled in the second. He's 1 for 3. And we have seen Mark hit the ball recently with more authority. Perhaps the most we've seen from him since he came back from the foot injury. He's hit .240 on the year now. He's hit in 7 straight. And 1 home run in 47 games for Mark since coming back from the DL, and he admits he has considered that dilemma. Does he try to alter things and start driving the ball a little more, or does he stay with what he's been doing that has worked so well in terms of the on-base percentage?
1-2. Against that Brian Wilson cutter, you either have to concede and try to hit the ball to the opposite field or lay off that pitch. Starts on the outer third of the plate. Everything's sliding away. You see where those end up. They started over the plate but ended up low and away.
Strikes him out on 3 pitches, 2 down.
A trio of cutters off that outside corner. The last one, the farthest off the outside corner.
Tails away from the right-hand hitter. Aaron Hill having a great night. A couple of singles. He has scored a run. Pennington is the go-ahead run at first base with 2 outs now. A single to lead off the inning. Aaron Hill, so far every game he has started at third base has been a 2-hit game. 2 hits, an RBI double at third the other night in San Diego. A pair of singles tonight in LA.
And that's the problem with that cut fastball. A slider has a different rotation. You can rather quickly pick up the rotation and track the ball, but the cut fastball, the spin looks just like a 4-seam fastball. There's just a slight angle to the ball, a slight tilt, which causes it to cut away from the right-handed hitter. Very hard to recognize. Nice job by Aaron Hill to take the first pitch of this sequence. Just that little bit of cutting action.
He's ahead 2-0. pitch is in there. 2 balls and 2 strikes. This one in there at 87. In the air, right center field, Peterson and Kemp. It's the rookie Peterson. And that's the inning. Diamondbacks strand the leadoff single. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Guess who's next? It's Daniel Hudson back for the 2nd time.
It's just a different mentality. You got to learn how to kind of adapt to your situation out there. You never know when your name's going to get called. You kind of got to stay loose the entire game. Whereas obviously if you start, you get those 4 days off and you know you're not doing anything. That maybe an extra innings, put your cleats on the bunt or something like that. So you just kind of try to figure out your routine out there, and that's something I'm working on right now, trying to figure out when I need to start stretching to be ready for the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, whenever I go in.
Well, tonight it's the 8th inning at Dodger Stadium. Daniel Hudson, one time a 16-game winner as the starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks. Now following 2 Tommy John surgeries, he is a reliever and on in a tie game in the 8th inning in L.A. after he returned on Wednesday at San Diego, his first major league appearance in more than 2 years. He worked a 1-2-3 inning, threw 13 pitches, 9 for strikes, and now here he is to face Juan Uribe to lead off the L.A. 8th. Diamondback pitchers have retired 13 straight Dodger hitters. Bouncer up the middle. Pennington can't get there. Tough play for Cliff, who had to run a long way to get behind the bag just to catch up to that one, and it bounced off the glove.
Now you can see Cliff shading into the hole. Juan Uribe likes to roll over and pull that ground ball through the hole between third and short, so Cliff was playing him that way, and then Uribe bounces it up the middle of the field. I don't believe they would have had a chance to get him at first base anyway.
And now they will run for Uribe. Roger Bernardina, who's been around lately, the Shark, former Washington National, will run for Uribe. Go ahead, run aboard with nobody out. Jock Peterson, the rookie.
would venture a guess that Jock Peterson didn't bunt much in AAA when he was amassing those numbers that we showed you earlier in the ball game. So I don't expect him to bunt here.
303 with AAA Albuquerque this year, 33 home runs and 78 RBIs. He was the Pacific Coast League MVP. Bernardino bluffs, that one misses 1-0.
Good velocity again tonight from Daniel Hudson. 95 on that last tailing fastball just off the outside corner.
Bernardino bluffs again. That's in there for a strike. 1-1. Jock Peterson's dad, Stu Peterson. Minor league baseball for 12 years. Had a cup of coffee with the Dodgers. He played 8 games with LA in 1985. His only stint in the major leagues. Only 5 plate appearances and did not get a hit. And here is his son, Jock. An 11th round pick out of Palo Alto High School. Just 22 years old. Bernardino, the go-ahead run at first. Nobody out. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jock Peterson. Bernardino bluffs again. Peterson lifts a fly ball out to left field. Nolan Reimold is at the wall. And he makes the catch. Nolan Reimold, a terrific running catch at the wall in left. That's our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game, and Reimold on the run keeps his cool right here.
Boy, he had to know he was getting close to that wall. He could feel the warning track under his feet. Never took his eye off the baseball, and immediately after making the catch, he crashes into the fence, taking away extra bases. What a play.
Well, A.J. Ellis, who has really slumped lately, we've really slumped all year, hitting about 190, is due up. But they have recalled Ellis, the starting catcher, and now Justin Turner comes out of the dugout to take the at-bat. So Turner will hit for Ellis here with 1 out in the 8th.
Now Turner's been Don Mattingly's best pinch hitter this season. He has 9 hits off the bench in 24 at-bats. He's driven in 6 runs as a pinch hitter.
And Mattingly right now carrying 3 catchers. You've got Fedorovich and Butera in the dugout, so it's no big deal if he has to hit for Ellis here. And we'll see Turner. And he has had a great offensive season. 322 on the year. He was 0 for 4 in getting to start at second base last night. Pitcher spot is due up after that. There's Andre Ethier. Crawling out of the darkness of the Dodger dugout where he has been for most of the last couple of months. Strike 1 from Daniel Hudson. The other night at San Diego, Daniel's first appearance on a Major League diamond since June 26, 2012. And he has consistently thrown 95 miles an hour since we have seen him back at the big league level. Broken bat, roller in the hole. Aaron Hill at third, not in time. Bernardino gets in at second, and Turner's aboard at first.
Maybe the inexperience at third base right there for Aaron Hill. That ball was not hit hard at all. Roger Bernardino runs extremely well. By the time Aaron Hill gets to this ball, Fires on to second base. Bernardino's already over the bag, and no opportunity for Chris Owings to possibly get the out at first base on Turner. Another beautiful slide.
And now the man who has been left without a spot to sit in the game of musical chairs that has become the Dodger outfield, it's Andre Ethier. He will hit for the pitcher. Andre Ethier, a 3-hit day on July 4th in Colorado. Since then, he has hit barely than .220. No home runs and only 5 extra base hits. He cannot get any regular playing time. And over the course of the current skid since that July 4th game, he's made only 16 starts. Gets this one high in the air to right field, but playable for Cody Ross. Bernardino will hold at second. 2 down. D. Gordon is the batter. Gordon has a pair of hits tonight. Doubled and scored in the first, an infield single in the third. He's 2 for 3. Roger Bernardino, the go-ahead run at second. Justin Turner aboard at first. Ball 1. There's a strike, 1-1. That's a good sign.
Yeah, velocity, fastball at 95, changeup at 85. Perfect split. Good movement on both those pitches.
1-1 misses away. 2 balls and a strike to D. Gordon. An all-star this year for the first time in his career. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. A .300 hitter in these situations this season. Swung on and missed. 2-2. Series and season finale with the Dodgers tomorrow for you. Diamondback Live pregame show at 12:30 here on Fox Sports Arizona. Three balls and 2 strikes. And now with 2 outs, the runners will be off with a pitch. Bernardino from second and Turner from first. Daniel Hudson in his second game back from 2 Tommy Johns, thrown right into the deep end of the pool here in LA.
Good idea here. Daniel's having some trouble seeing the signs. There's a lot of shadows around the home plate area, and when Tuffy hangs the fingers down there to give the sequence of signs, Daniel just couldn't see him. We can't see him from our center field camera.
You can see that shadow in there.
And rather than risk a missed sign and a ball getting away, Tuffy decided just to run out and verbally talk it over with Daniel Hudson.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here it is. There go the runners. Fouled off. 60,823 at Dodger Stadium. Runners take off one more time. Gordon fouls off another one.
I like the approach. Just keep going with hard stuff, up and away. Try to get D. Gordon to hit that ball in the air to left field. He does not have any opposite field power at all. You can get him to hit the ball in the air to left, you got a real good chance to get him out.
Reimold in left, playing pretty shallow. Another 3-2 from Daniel Hudson. There go the runners. Gordon pulls it down the right field line. Just foul.
Diamondbacks got lucky there. Wrong pitch, wrong location. He threw him a changeup, which is okay as long as you keep it away from Gordon, but he threw it on the inside part of the plate where he couldn't do anything else but pull that pitch. And if you're playing him to hit the ball the opposite way, you don't want to throw him anything he can hit the right field. 85-mile-an-hour changeup. Tuffy wants it low and away. It sprays over that inside part of the plate and down. Fortunately, Gordon just out in front enough to hook it foul.
Up the middle and into center, a base hit. Here comes Bernardino. There is no throw. It's 3-2 Dodgers. Third hit tonight for D. Gordon.
It was a fastball up and away. Somehow D. Gordon managed to get on top of it and hit a ground ball back up the middle of the field. That's a pitch that 9 times out of 10 he'll loft in the air to left field. Unfortunately, this one time he finds the base hit back up the middle.
Kurt Gibson comes out to get the baseball. Diamondbacks trail it 3-2 in the 8th. Back after this.
Base hit off the bat of D. Gordon, but you think back to earlier in the inning with Roger Bernardino running at first and 1 out. Turner hit a slow roller to third base, actually a 4-hopper to third base, and we mentioned it at the time. Aaron Hill, unfamiliar with the position. I talk all the time about that internal stopwatch that has to be running, especially for an infielder, and Aaron thought he had enough time to get the force at second base. Bernardino was safe by a mile, and you never know what might have transpired after that if he goes across the diamond and gets Turner at first base. But as it is, the Dodgers take the lead.
And still trying to get that third out. Will Harris is on now to face Hanley Ramirez with Turner the runner at third and Gordon, the Major League stolen base leader, at first. Ramirez tonight 0 for 3. Will Harris's 20th appearance of the year. Hanley launches one down the left field line. That's a fair ball, and it's off the wall. Turner scores. Gordon flying around third. And it's 5-2 Dodgers.
Not a bad pitch from Will Harris. A curveball down. Hanley Ramirez just golfed it down into that left field corner. Kirk Gibson is going to come out and have a word with Laz Diaz, the third base umpire. Fan reached over right there. It appeared he made contact with the ball. I don't know that it affected the play at all.
And the umpires, led by crew chief Laz Diaz, will huddle up and have a conversation about this. Umpire judgment calls are not subject to review.
You see the gentleman in the blue Dodgers shirt reaches over right there and appears to make contact with the baseball. It goes on to hit the signage and bounce back onto the warning track for Nolan Reimold.
Fan interference calls are reviewable, and they will take a look at this. All boundary calls, home runs, ground rule doubles, stadium boundaries, and fan interference is reviewable, and the Diamondbacks are challenging the call on the field that they will clearly see the guy in the blue shirt reach over and touch the baseball.
40,000 plus fans here at Dodger Stadium just saw it on the big board, and
that guy may have Bartmaned his way right into infamy.
Yeah.
Sir, you are not playing in the game. Please leave. Fan interference subject to review, and that process is underway right now as that guy is out of here. And this brings in the question, Bob, and this is one of the issues with replay. On these types of plays, you still have to decide where to put the runners.
Yeah, that involves, knowing the speed of the runner on base. In this case, D. Gordon at first base, the run you're concerned with. Would he have scored on this play had the fan not interfered with that ball? I don't know. D. Gordon is really fast, and with 2 outs in the inning, he was off with the crack of the bat.
You can still rule fan interference, which is pretty clear as what we have here. And they're going to put the runners back.
Well, Ramirez is at second base anyway with his double.
Yeah, they're going to score the run and put Ramirez at second. I think they're going to rule that Gordon would have scored anyway, which is it's hard to argue against with his speed.
If there were no outs or 1 out in the inning, maybe you say Gordon went halfway between first and second and waited to see the ball down on the ground before advancing. But with 2 outs in the inning, he's running on contact.
And now Gibby would like an explanation. He'll go over there and talk to plate umpire Pat Hoberg. Laz Diaz, the crew chief, is coming over as well.
Now, this is a good idea. I mean, Laz Diaz came out and gave an explanation to Aaron Hill and Cliff Pennington on the left side of the infield, but Kirk Gibson wants to know what the call is and what it was based on.
They have ruled that the runner would have scored regardless of the fan interference. So Gordon's run counts. It's a 5-2 game, and Ramirez is in at second. So considering who the runner is in this case, D. Gordon, they have ruled that despite the fact the guy touched it, that he would have scored anyway. 5-2 now with still 2 outs in the 8th. And Adrian Gonzalez will hit.
You'd think they'd just walk Adrian Gonzalez right here. No real advantage to pitching to him in this situation with the right hand hitting Matt Kemp in the on deck circle, but Tuffy down in the crouch. Looks like they're going to go after him.
Hanley at second, 2 down. Timeout. And now they will issue the intentional walk. Matt Kemp is on deck. They'll work to Kemp, the right-hand hitter. Gonzalez's homer in the first made it 2-0. Until the Diamondbacks tied it up in the 7th. The homer is 20th of the year. Kemp singled right after that. He's 1 for 3. Let's take a look again at that fan interference call and see. This is synced up now. See where Gordon was when the fan reaches over and clearly makes contact with the ball. He's pretty close to second base there.
And you don't know if the fan doesn't touch that ball. Maybe it takes a bigger carom off that padded wall out there in left field and comes back to Reimold a little harder and gives him an opportunity to get it into the cutoff man. And maybe they have a play on Gordon at the plate.
The replay is definitive. The fan interference is called, but where to place the base runners is still an umpire judgment call. And they decided he would have scored. So here's Kemp with Gonzalez at first. And Ramirez at second, 0-1. Lines it right to Owings, and that's the final out of this 8th inning. But the Dodgers get 3, and as we go to the 9th, they lead it 5-2. Now as they get 3 in the 8th. Chase Anderson pitched a beauty for the Diamondbacks, gave up the 2-run homer to Adrian Gonzalez in the first, but after that was lights out. He retired the last 10 he faced. But D. Gordon has the big hit and single up the middle after a long at bat against Daniel Hudson, and that gave the Dodgers the lead. And now we got a whole bunch of defensive changes here for Don Mattingly, and we'll run through them for you. Justin Turner, who came in as a pinch hitter in that inning, will go in and take over for Juan Uribe at third base. Miguel Rojas is the new shortstop, replacing Hanley Ramirez. They hit for Ellis, so Drew Butera is now the catcher behind the plate. And on the mound for the second time in this series is the closer. He got save number 40 last night. Third in the National League, it's Big Kenley Jansen.
Cutter mania. He rarely throws anything other than a cut fastball.
Cody Ross, Nolan Reimold, Tuffy Gozawish, 6, 7, and 8 scheduled in the Diamondback ninth. Jansen came on, worked a 1-2-3 inning in the ninth last night. Through only 7 pitches, he got Trumbo, Montero, and Pollock to win the ballgame. Ball and 2 strikes. Cody smacks that out to center field. Jock Peterson is there. One away. Hey fans, follow every D-backs game through season's end with the MLB.com at Bat App, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone or tablet. You'll get live look-ins, replay reviews, score stats, live radio broadcasts, the MLB.TV game of the day, and a whole lot more. Download at Bat on the App Store or visit dbacks.com/mobile. One down for Nolan Reimold. 0 for 3 has struck out looking all 3 times on some very questionable calls by umpire Pat Hoberg behind the plate, who takes strike 1. Reimold yanks one down the left field line. That's a fair ball, and it rolls to the wall. Crawford plays it off to Karam, and Nolan Reimold is in there with his 5th double this year.
Don't give the plate umpire an opportunity to call you out. He tomahawks this high cutter out into left field. Ringing double with 1 out here in the ninth.
Another base runner here to get the tying run to the plate. Reimold's 5th double between the Orioles, the Blue Jays, and the Diamondbacks. Here's Tuffy now, who doubled in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. Pitcher spot is due up next, and Jake Lamb is in the on-deck circle. He would be the tying run if Tuffy can get aboard. Ball and 2 strikes. Henry Jansen, 2nd among all National League relievers. 90 strikeouts in 57 1/3 innings this year. Right-handers hitting 172 against him. Tuffy off the mound. Gordon behind the bag. And he throws him out. Reimold in the 3rd, 2 down. It looked like it knocked Karam off the mound and away from Gordon, but he was able to get to that for the 2nd out.
It at the front of the mound, took that big hop, giving Gordon an extra half a step to catch up to that ball. Looked like a single up the middle, possibly an RBI, but Gordon takes a base hit away. Tuffy that time.
Bounce does not go in the Diamondback favor, so with Reimold at third and 2 outs, Jake Lamb will hit for the pitcher. A double in yesterday's ball game here. Jake at 191 on the year. 2 for his last 19 at the plate. Here's the ball, 1-0. Tuffy hit the ball pretty hard tonight. He had that liner in the second that Crawford made a nice sliding grab on. Doubled in the fifth. Might have had a base hit right there too. Instead it's a 1 for 4. 2-0 to Lamb. He gets that in the air in center field. It backs up Peterson, but he's got room in the front of the track, and that's the ball game. Dodgers get 3 in the 8th, and they win it 5-2.
Once again, another outstanding starting pitching performance wasted here tonight. Chase Anderson, after a rocky first inning, really settled in and pitched a gem tonight. Got to find a way to put some runners on the plate, give these pitchers a little bit of breathing room. D-backs out hit the Dodgers 9-7, but they lose it 5-2. Diamondback Live postgame show comes your way next here on Fox Sports Arizona. Reaction from the D-backs clubhouse here at Dodger Stadium as LA takes the first 2 games of this 3-game series. Back with more from Los Angeles in just a moment.